What am I watching today? Whoa! Yes, another Batman movie! Oh, this is gonna be awesome! I wonder who's gonna be going against today. Maybe it's gonna be like Talia Al Ghul, or maybe like the Scarecrow, or quite possibly they'll finally show the Penguin a little love. Son of Batman? Son of Batman!
Warning! Rant alert! Rant alert! Warning!
A lot of times, when a series, animated or otherwise, starts to run its course and get a little stale, the writers will try to spice things up by adding a kid. No! No! No, 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 no! You never add a kid! A kid is like a death knell for a series. It's like you going to the store and buying the headstone for your own grave. I have watched hundreds of series plunge into the deepest depths of hell after they added a kid!
Look at Shrek! How much did those movies suck when he birthed those little hell spawn? May as well cut the balls off that character! Full House! It was sickening enough watching Michelle all those years, but she grew up. It was finally tolerable. You could almost watch it! Nope, we can't have that! Let's find the most stereotypically cute twins, and we'll have Michelle times 2! You can take those stinging punch bowl haircuts, and you can keep them! Scrappy-Doo! I think we're all in agreement here. He sucks! And then there's Hellboy. At the end, they tease us that he got his girl pregnant and she's carrying twins. I love the Hellboy movies, but I hope to God they don't make a third one for this reason! Please do not follow this up, Guillermo del Toro! I'm not going! I don't care how cool you make it look! And hey, ladies and gentlemen, remember how cool Arnold Schwarzenegger was in the 80s and early 90s? Well, what was the movie that killed his career? Last Action Hero, where he was not only paired up with a kid, but one with such your atypical punch bowl haircut. To me, he looked like some kind of Zooble. What's the worst Iron Man movie? Iron Man 3, by far, where old Tony Stark palled around with a robust little puke. And yeah, that movie made boatloads of money, but it also made boatloads of disappointment, and I, for one, never want to see a part 4! Potato gun my ass! Married with Children added a kid, remember that shit? Married with More Children? They decided later that it was such a bad decision, the kid just vanished, and they never explained it! But still, the kid left a permanent stain on the show and proceeded to die a slow, agonizing death.
Why can't I just watch a Batman movie? Why? Why do we have to keep doing these cute little spins on a formula that's always been so tried and true? A straight Batman movie, no bells and whistles, just Batman versus a villain. That's what I want. It's that easy. Why can't we ever have that? Why? Well, this is Batman we're talking about. He is pretty badass. Is he badass enough to overcome what is sure to be his most powerful enemy, a plucky child sidekick? Let's find out.
So the story goes. Batman. He's got a kid. Name's Damian. None know about it. Born of Talia Al Ghul he was, and ushered off to a faraway land to be trained and raised into a terrorist ninja cult called the League of Shadows, led by Batman's most dangerous enemy, Ra's al Ghul. But there is trouble in paradise, as a League member, later adopting the codename Deathstroke, carries out Order 66, splintering his own faction away from the League in violent fashion. Before he leaves, he takes the life of Ra's al Ghul, right in front of young Damian. Talia will not allow her son to grow without a strong patriarchal figure in his life, so she drags Damian to Gotham City to finally meet his real father. Talia leaves the two alone like the deadbeat mother she is, and Bats is now saddled with the son he never intended. And while poor Bruce Wayne is stuck wrangling this little brat in true problem child style, guess who shows up in Gotham? Yup, good old Deathstroke. You see, he heard through the grapevine there was this gene-splicing scientist known as Dr. Langstrom, known primarily for creating the super-powerful Man-Bat, a lesser-known member of Batman's rogue gallery. Newly reformed, Langstrom lived a normal, quiet life with his family. Deathstroke wouldn't play that, and he forced Langstrom back in the game, using his skills of science to mutate his own people into an airborne army. This threat is way more than one bat can handle, and Dick Grayson is off doing the Nightwing thing. What's a vigilante to do? Well, that Robin role is open. And Bats does have at his disposal a murderous young boy with every reason in the world to put on that costume and seek revenge for Ra's death. With more twists and turns than a bat flying through a cave, this movie is a tale of maturation and pure adrenaline, and even contains some surprise cameos from characters like Killer Croc and Bat Ape. Tune in, young viewers, to Son of Batman. Same bat time, same bat Blu-ray.
So now that I've explained this plot, let's start pulling this dinkus apart. For now, I will reserve judgment on whether I like or hate this idea. You know, the idea where Batman has a kid. Because we had it too good, right? I mean, he was all super cool when he was alone. We couldn't have that. No, they gotta pair him up with this snotty little prepubescent turd, cramping his style every step of the way, wearing all those bright colors, looking like some fairy little nymph. Yeah, that looks great standing next to a man known as the Dark Knight. I freaking hate this idea! I fucking hate this idea! This idea can suck my white hairy balls! It can suck the white hairy balls of a gibbon! It can lick my white hairy anus! I don't know why there's hair in my anus, but it'll lick the hair right out of it! Alright, I got carried away. Where was I? Oh yeah, I reserve judgment on whether I like or hate this idea. Moving on.
First off, let's talk animation. When I first started watching this, I was shocked at the stiffness of these characters, considering where we've come from. All the DCU animated movies this far had beautiful animation. True, some were better than others, but they were all above par. This movie, maybe it's just me, but it comes across a little rushed. The animation during fight scenes does its job well enough, but that's about all I can say about it. They do as much as they can in as little frames of animation as possible. And of course, they really exploit those still frame flapping lips talkie-talkie scenes. I'm not saying it's bad, it's just that I've come to expect a certain quality when watching a DC animated flick. To be merely par in a sea of greatness makes Son of Batman stick out like a sore thumb. I guess kind of the way Batman must feel hanging around with the Justice League. It's all relative, really. Compared to something like The Fairly Odd Parents, this is a work of fine art. But for an animated feature film, something that's not being given away for free on TV, but something I actually had to pay money to see, the quality, it should be top-notch. Not to say the movie doesn't have glimmers of greatness. I get the feeling they put all their animation budget into the final battle, which looks astounding. But it's a long way to get there. As usual, the lip sync is a little wonky here and there. I suppose this is something I'm just gonna have to get used to. The art style is common DCU style for the most part. Everybody looks so long and angular, almost as if this movie were stretched to a different aspect ratio. But I kinda like it. Long characters with long limbs make for great action poses, and they look great as they're batted around during fight scenes, almost extra vulnerable to broken bones.
There is one area in which this movie excels with flying colors, and that is the colors.
I never ever purchase an animated movie on Blu-ray. It looks almost the same on DVD. Do yourself a favor, buy this on Blu-ray, because it looks orgasmic. There is a point near the end where our heroes go to this pier in the middle of nowhere, and I have no idea how they did this, but they put a purple ocean against a bright neon pink sky, and they still managed to make it look as dark as a typical Batman film. Maybe I'm just impressed by simple things, but I couldn't take my eyes off of it. Watch this part in the dark and you'll feel like you're in a goddamn lava lamp. It's fucking awesome. The voice work is a strange sack of good and bad. The voice of Batman. I hated this guy at first, but I think it was just because Kevin Conroy spoiled me all those years. This guy's done Batman a few times now, and with this movie I'm finally starting to warm up to him. Still rather have Kevin Conroy back though. The voice of Damian, the new Robin, absolutely dazzles in his monotone delivery. Say what you want about the prospect of Batman hanging out with a spoiled, stone-cold child, but you can't fault this delivery. This is a tricky character. If the cadence wasn't just right, he would come across as an irritating little zit. But no, this kid knew this character and nailed it. If you close your eyes, you can almost picture a cold, murderous Charlie Brown.
Let her go, monster! Now!
Then there's the voice of Talia Al Ghul.
Learn from your father, Damien, for he is very wise.
Yeah, this sucked. So generic. Shouldn't Talia have some kind of accent? The makers of this movie didn't think so! She talks born and raised America! Woo! It's crap! Talia Al Ghul always has an accent! Why do I have to tell you that? Stupid ass shit!
How unfortunate.
But finally, I have saved the largest, stinkiest, nuttiest, honking, steaming, frothing, fizzing, greasy, blustery, dripping, oozing, disgusting, revolting bastardization of a character for last! The main villain, Deathstroke. Where do I fucking begin?
The name. Worst name for a villain since Kwee-Wee debuted in WCW. It just doesn't roll off the tongue. Deathstroke. That's like a name a non-hardcore D&D player would come up with for a character just to get it over with. This voice.
You will call me Deathstroke.
For one, it doesn't match the character. At all! Not in the slightest! You have a guy who looks like an aging ninja, covered in muscles and armor. That scary mask, yeah, that's cool. And he sounds like Morris the Cat from the 9 Lives commercials? Why? Who thought this was good?
Wasn't that mask scary? How about this mask? I took off a mask so I could put on another mask.
As of now, in my history of watching animation, I have never ever heard a voice less fitting to a character. Yup, the Lorax has been dethroned, and the new king is Deathstroke. Deathstroke. You almost have to have a mini stroke to say that name.
And he never ever raises his voice, even in moments on screen where the character begs for emotion.
Well, do it!
No emotion! And you know, I hate singling out a voice actor. I know what it's like. I do silly voices as a hobby, and I know I have a certain range to which I must stick to. I don't do accents, I don't sing well, I don't scream well! As my own writer and director, I know not to go there, so I don't put myself there. He doesn't have that luxury. He's just trying to get work. I'm sure this voice actor may be perfectly suited for other roles, like Morris the Cat. But here, as a diabolical villain, he was grossly miscast! This guy would have been better off playing Alfred than an evil ninja master!
But, how's the plot? Is it any good? Well, look, I have a few complaints which I'm just gonna get out of the way now, other than the obvious one of Batman having a son.
First of all, not enough Raj Al Ghul, whatever. He's one of my favorite Batman villains, primarily from his drop-dead awesome portrayal in Batman the Animated Series. Raj is underwhelming here. He's on screen primarily to die and give young Damian some pathos. This is just a personal preference, this is actually a good way to start off a story, but Raj, he looks a little bitchy in his final moments. No matter, we all know he ain't really dead. What pissed me off even more is how they explain where Damian came from. Turns out Talia, in a night of warm-loined passion, slipped a drug into Batman's Appletini and took advantage of him while he was inebriated. Talia raped Batman, pretty much. Slipped him some eggs. What the? No! Please tell me this is something they made up for the movie and not comic book canon! Batman is a world-renowned detective on par with Sherlock Holmes himself, and his guard is always up, no matter what! He would not allow himself to be so blatantly bitched out! Hell, the only reason why he's allowed in the Justice League is because of his ever-working mind! To have this happen? The fuck good is he? Oh, and I know your rebuttal. Talia is a ninja! To that I say big fucking whoop! Batman beats up tons of ninjas! Batman's eyes are too quick! He can read people like open books! I would think that before he put any foreign substance in his mouth, he would have every antidote swimming around his system!
You made your secret too accessible, Ivy. I coated my outfit with an herbicidal antidote.
Yeah, like that! Just like that! To me, this is way more heinous than Superman snapping General Zod's neck. At least he looked tough! Batman looks like a world-class dope here, an even bigger bitch than Raj Al Ghul. I don't want this movie followed up in any way, but if they do, I hope to Jesus they reveal that this was all an elaborate hoax and Damian is really somebody else's seed. I would buy that level of subterfuge over spiking Batman's punch. Something else that pisses me off about this movie, and unfortunately this is fast becoming a trend, the whole endgame here is to create a massive army of these man-bats, a legion of unstoppable hulking bat beasts. Unstoppable, right. Takes the dynamic duo some effort, but they take a few of them down no problemo. Is this really that big a threat? Couldn't the military get involved and just shoot these fuckers out the sky? I am so sick of this, and unfortunately the idea
Is never going away!
it's been the finale of every comic book movie since Iron Man 2! Armies and armies of super beings with leprosy. Millions and millions of robots made of the finest paper. I don't care how many of them you flood the screen with. A weak sauce foe is a weak sauce foe. Thankfully, the Man-Bats of Son of Batman have a little bit of fight in them. But come on, I could think of 100 better excuses to get Deathstroke to Gotham. At least go with Bat Apes! They're harder to control, but they don't go down so easily. Thankfully, this is about where my complaining ends. For the rest of the plot ranges from serviceable to pretty damn good. I like everything that's going on with the League of Assassins and all the rival clans there. It gives this story an international feel without taking it wholly out of Gotham. If I had one nittiest of nitpick about the Talia Al Ghul stories from the original Batman the Animated Series, it's that they played more like Indiana Jones than Batman. In fact, screw the more like, it was Indiana Jones! This movie splits the difference pretty well. It gives you a splash of samurai flick before throwing us into Gotham. And though the major plot involves this brotherhood at war with itself, it never loses that Batman feel, even with as weak a villain as Deathstroke at the forefront.
Alright, I'm about to speak about the biggest hazy point in this plot. The kid.
The killer of series for decades on end. Well, he's a killer, alright, but not how I expected. I was brought up on Batman the Animated Series. The coolest episodes, the ones that felt like mini-movies, Batman was always alone. Kick ass. He should be alone. But eventually, they brought in Robin, the Dick Grayson version, I'm guessing out of obligation. The Robin episodes were great. Not as great as Batman going solo, but still great. And I think a big reason why was that they kept Robin at a reasonable age. He was young, but he was not a kid. College age. Perfect. Smart. Later, when Dick Grayson became Nightwing and Tim Drake's Robin entered the scene, I don't know, I just didn't buy it. It just seemed wrong, and more importantly, out of character for Bats to be putting this naive, rambunctious child in such danger. And you add to that, the sheer visual of Batman paired with a baby elvish snark-talking acrobat. All of Batman's mystique has been flushed down the hopper. You can see why I didn't want this originally. But here, in Son of Batman, the situation has thankfully been remedied. This new Robin is such a machine. He's an emotionless killer, raised by a shadow organization, surrounded by ninja his entire young life. This kid has been honing his skills since he was a sperm. All he really knows is fighting and killing. I won't say that this is a great fit for a Robin who over the years has gained a reputation as a wisecracker, and would this character ever want to be caught dead in this outfit? No freaking way.
The only thing it's missing is lace trim and a sun hat.
But, is he a suitable partner to the Caped Crusader? The answer is, surprisingly, yes! For a child to even be able to keep up with Batman, let alone be his equal, he would need an upbringing like this. Plus, he being so over-the-top ice-cold lent itself to the occasional humorous moment. So, in a way, he is still a comedy character.
You downloaded this from the computer in the Batcave, didn't you?
I hacked into NORAD when I was 6. It was easy.
And while I'm not too keen on Batman playing the role of Mr. Mom, there is a cool contrast between father and child here, particularly on the subject of killing. As we all know, Batman is tough and scary, but at the same time, altruistic. He does not kill under any circumstances. It's part of the strong vow he made at the grave of his parents, a code he has honored his entire life. Batman gets saddled with this kid, but this isn't a Tim Drake to be molded in his image. This child is already a finished product, a child gone astray and set in his murderous ways. Training and rehabilitating this boy is a brand new challenge for Batman. I can sense the awkwardness whenever the two share a scene. I buy this child Robin, and I am totally on board with this. Don't want to see it again, but for a one-off it's pretty cool. As for the rest of the story, I'll try not to hate on it too much. It is a rote origin story for young Damian, meaning that it serves its purpose well enough, but you can practically count every major beat along the way. Batman did this same exact story in 1989. Robin followed this same path in both the 90s animated series and feature film. Take that plot A man done a great wrong by a villain, usually involving parental death, suits up for battle, plotting revenge against the one responsible. After honing his skills in random criminal set pieces, at the end you find out the crimes were all traced to the original villain, and after a climactic final battle, it culminates in either the hero going the high road and handing the villain over to the police, or the villain committing accidental suicide. That's the movie. Sorry to ruin it for you, but watch it. You'll agree, it's hard not to see where this is going. But this is a DC animated movie, and that means you're gonna get quality storytelling. The dialogue is smart and snappy, the action sequences are well plotted and make sense, and you'll even get a few moments of legitimate tension. Even with lesser quality animation and a plot this familiar, this movie still entertains for its entire duration.
Alrighty, Rue, it's time to give this movie a grade. Personally, I have no idea which way the sonic screwdriver is gonna go on this one, but, well, let's see. Three stars!
As far as DC movies go, this is not as good as a lot of them. War, Crisis on Two Earths, Flashpoint Paradox, I would put they all up in that 3.5 star range. This one lacks a little bit of that excitement of prior DC efforts, a lot of the voice acting is just plain wrong, and the animation is nothing to praise, which to me is the biggest disappointment. But certain things are very, very commendable. The color. Wow, I cannot stress how good this movie looks. The action scenes are generally well done, and that end battle, whew, that's as good a crescendo you're gonna get. Like so many movies I review on this here show, it's an even bag. But in this case, it's not of good and bad, but rather good and average. There is not one thing bad about this. Even the voice acting, for all its problems, balances out to be mostly okay. For its shining moments, it earns that 3-star rating, showing it's well above average and deserves at least one watch. It doesn't hold up to prior animated films of its ilk, but in a bubble, it's okay.
I wonder what's next, though. A movie about Vicky Vale or Summer Gleason, Detective Bullock, Lucius Fox, or maybe Batman's dog? Or how about a new Batman Scooby-Doo team-up? How about Batman meets Batfink? Come on! Batman versus blank! Put any Batman villains in there. Joker, Riddler, Bane, Scarecrow, Mad Hatter, Firefly. Yes, I'll even accept Firefly. Make me happy, DC. Alright, I'm curious. What's the next one after this? Batman Assault on Arkham. Oh, that's the one about the villains that Batman is barely in. Alright, after that. What's coming next? Justice League Throne of Atlantis? They gave Aquaman a movie? They're never gonna learn! They're just... There is no hope! There's no hope at all! What's this? Batman versus... Well, maybe. No. They're just not gonna learn, and they're not gonna fool me. They're not gonna fool me again. Alright, you got me, DC. Show me the Joker. Show me Catwoman. Show me the Riddler. Show me a top-level villain in Batman's rogue gallery. You are so close. You are so close. Just make the right choice, please!